Hey guys, in this video we are talking about the ProFlow electric pressure washer from Chemical Guys. We're comparing it to the Snow Joe pressure washer that I use in most of my videos and talking about electric pressure washers in general, what you need and what you should avoid so you can save your money as a pro detailer. Now we're gonna go ahead and unbox this pressure washer. All right, now the first thing that you guys see when you open up the box is going to be a couple different attachments. We'll talk about where to put these just in a bit. You've got your different pressure washer tips here. You've got your 25-degree angle, 45-degree, 15-degree, all of the standard tips of the pressure washer, a couple more adapters, a little bit of a holder here that I'm sure attaches to the pressure washer where you can put all of those tips in kind of a convenient place. You've got the pressure washer wand here that screws on or actually clicks on, some manual or instructions right here. And then we are looking at the pressure washer itself. You guys can see this is the front here, the back right here, and of course your long extension cord to plug in to the wall. Now the last thing you find in the box is of course the kit hose, which of course most kit hoses suck, but I'm going to talk about this one in addition to the one that comes with the Snow Joe, in addition to the one that I actually use in my professional detailing business, not in most of my videos. Now the actual last thing that's in the box are these caster wheels that you would put on the bottom of the pressure washer, but you don't really need these wheels for probably most applications for the people who are watching here. Now we're just going to go through these adapters and the setup really quickly here. This first one actually comes like this in the bag. You've got this quick release and quick connect. This one is plastic. This is the male end, and the female end here is metal, right? This is kind of your classic brass. The issue being, as I attach this plastic quick connect to the back of the pressure washer where I'm going to connect my hose, is of course the fact that this is plastic. There's really no reason for me to use a plastic connection on the back of this pressure washer given how rough I am when I'm plugging things in and taking things out. I can imagine that even if I accidentally set this down the wrong way and this kind of chips the cement or chips the pavement I'm working on, I'm going to break this off really quickly. So I'd rather both of these be brass, and I'd rather just use one that I know is going to last a long time than have to deal with this plastic. Now after we've got our water hooked up in the back, we'll take one end of the pressure washer kit hose. I can simply use the quick connect here, plug in this side, then take this side of my pressure washer wand here, and I'm actually ready to use this pressure washer. Now all I want to do here is push some water through this pressure washer in a real life situation and talk about a couple things. Number one, the kit hose that I'm using absolutely sucks, and I basically want to replace that as fast as possible because it just gets tangled everywhere as I'm running from the pressure washer here. I have to move it around, twist around my pressure washer wand to make sure I'm not tripping anything. So the kit hose I would get rid of basically immediately. I also of course don't love the long pressure washer wand because I have to hold my hand out here, harder to control, use both hands. I would basically replace this with the MTM short nozzle basically as soon as possible, and we'll hook that up. But as I do this, wet the car, I want to go ahead and push some foam through the pressure washer. Now you guys can see as I'm pushing this foam through the pressure washer sounds just about the same. Sounds like it's working a little bit harder because of course you're pushing through a couple extra orifices here, and so it's kind of like almost backstopping the pressure a little bit. It's normal with electric pressure washers, but I mean it looks like a total normal foam cannon instance here. So foam cannon test, big green check mark. Of course a lot of this has to do with the soap itself that I'm using, but in terms of the pressure washer's ability to get enough pressure out, definitely big check mark. Let's rinse this off. Now one of the reasons why I want to rinse this off like this in a real life scenario is because I believe that the package says it pushes out about 1.77 gallons per minute. And for an electric pressure washer, that's a pretty standard GPM to push out. And so I can just tell you guys from my own experience with electric pressure washers, this feels pretty normal, but I will say the 1.77 gallons per minute probably isn't actually true. I am obviously pushing out less than 1.77 GPMs right now because the further we get from the source of the water, all of our metrics will kind of decrease, whether that's amps, GPM, pressure, but all things considered, this actually feels pretty normal. So I wouldn't say that this kind of sets itself apart as like way worse or anything like that. So the pressure washer says that it'll pull about 14.5 amps from the electrical outlet that you plugged up to. And so I wanted to show you guys from the amp reader here, when we actually turn it on, we basically got up to about 11.67, let's say. And so we didn't get up to that 14.5 mark. I want to show you guys the same thing with the watts. So again, the directions say 1680 in terms of the watts, and I want to show you guys that obviously when we do that, we are not getting even close to that, but let's say 1250 is the highest that we actually went relative to what the maximum says on the box or in the manual. Now, what are the other realities about this pressure washer? Well, there is a difference between what the package says versus what you're actually getting in real life. They're going to talk about having 2030 max PSI, but if you look on the back of the pressure washer, you will find a metric called rated pressure, and the number beside that rated pressure is 1305. In other words, the actual pressure, generally speaking, that comes out of this pressure washer wand and this electric pressure washer is not 2030, but it's actually closer to 1300. Now, what's the other really important metric with the pressure washer? It's gallons per minute, because as I'm spraying this pressure washer on the paint, the more water that I can get spraying directly on the paint, the faster that I can work as a detailer because I'm washing chemicals off the paint. What is the max GPM, gallons per minute, coming out of the head of this pressure washer according to the directions? It's 1.77, but the rated GPM is 1.06. I'm not going to even get 1.77 gallons per minute out of this pressure washer, but the issue is, in the detailing world, generally speaking, a really awesome pressure washer is going to be rated somewhere around 2 gallons per minute, maybe even a little bit above that. And so that's kind of the standard that I'm trying to use here when I'm rating this particular pressure washer for detailers. So the 1.06 just isn't going to cut it. Now, just a couple more specs and a couple things that I would replace pretty much instantaneously. Number one, the electrical cord is 35 feet long, but a lot of electric pressure washers that are in this price range come with like a 30 to 40 foot electrical cord. So it's nothing like out of the ordinary, right? Secondly, you've got this long pressure washer wand, which I despise because they're just really difficult to work with. Though they're nice to have in your arsenal when you're dealing with things like muddy trucks and you need to kind of get up in these areas where you can't just stick your hand. I would immediately replace that with the MTM short nozzle pressure washer spray gun here. Of course, it comes with its own adapters and I'll be able to hook it up to any sort of kit hose, but that brings me back to the kit hose itself, which is about 20 feet long, and they call this kind of like a flexible, non-kinking hose, but the reality is this is just like every other kit hose. If I fold it down like this, it's gonna kink right here. If I step on it, if I run it over, it starts to actually take the shape of the damage it accrues, which is why I hate it, and would basically immediately replace it with what is probably considered one of the most popular pressure washer hoses in the detailing industry. These hoses are from Uberflex. There are several other types of hoses like this that basically are the exact same thing, but essentially these hoses, number one, are way longer than 20 feet. This one's 50 feet. And number two, you actually can't kink it, and it doesn't actually start to take the shape of damage that it accrues over time. It's actually an Uberflex. And this is what I would be using with any pressure washer, no matter this one or the Snow Joe. Now, we could sit here and do all kinds of experiments comparing the Sun Joe pressure washer to the new Chemical Guys Pro Flow, filling up gallons, testing the pressure, all that sort of stuff. But I kind of just want to jump to the conclusion here. If you look behind at kind of like the serial tag and all that information on the Snow Joe, you will find a couple things. Number one, the max rated pressure here is 3,000 PSI. Number two, the amps are still 14.5. And number three, the flow in terms of the gallons per minute is rated at 1.76. These are all the max ratings, and I actually can't find anywhere where it has more or less the real world ratings. But what can we conclude from just those numbers on this electric pressure washer, which is what I use in most of my videos because it fits most of y'all's price point and it kind of delivers on what I think you need? Well, I think the first conclusion is that truly the only difference between this machine and this machine is going to be the rated PSI of the machines. We might get a little more PSI from this Sun Joe than the Chemical Guys, but if I had to guess, I would actually say that in the real world, they probably fall relatively similarly. And so the new thought that I'd like to introduce is that I think oftentimes Chemical Guys products kind of get a bad rap and they're like, man, they have just so many. And they're normally, honestly, not that great for professional detailers. I totally agree. But one of the things that this thing does have going for it is the fact that it's so small and it's so light. You guys see how I'm throwing this around and how easy it is to pick up and stow away. Whereas this machine, much heavier, of course, much more cumbersome to deal with, and not something that I'm trying to pick up on a regular basis. Well, since I'm getting such similar numbers with both of these machines, the portability of the Chemical Guys Pro Flow machine is something that I would probably consider if I am shopping as a detailer inside of a budget with this particular price range in mind, simply because this is so easy to deal with. So guys, hopefully this really simple review and comparison gave you a little bit of insight into the Chemical Guys Pro Flow machine and of course into the Snow Joe machine. If you guys want to check out either of these machines, they're available in the YouTube description box below. Yes, the Sun Joe is what I've been using in most of my videos for several years because it is in the budget of most detailers and it's readily available on Amazon. Now that the Chemical Guys Pro Flow machine is out, I do think it actually does match this machine in a lot of ways. So I'll let you guys make a decision on which one you think is right for you. As always, if you got some value from this video, hit the subscribe button so you can continue to watch more content on a regular basis. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I'll see you in the next video.